Hello, I'm here to go over the project brief and requirements for week 3, a hand-built clock. So I'm going to share the document with you. This is the project brief for this week. So the little intro is we all live with and relate to time in our lives. Time is capitalized because I'm thinking of it as a proper noun, this overarching thing. So there are timelines, there is time space, there is local time, there's universal time. Time flies, time crawls. Time has so much more to it than everything listed here. You will design a clock, which is a measurement device that incorporates or shows some aspect of time. Maybe so you really want to talk about how time goes fast and it's really hard to do, or that it really creeps by and it's so boring. And sometimes we even know that time can seemingly stand still, which is like weird. Anyway, this is your chance to express something from within yourself, an understanding or feeling that you have towards or about the concept of time. Access the resources below for deeper thoughts on time. There is a resources section right here. That is for you. You may access any of these to more fully understand or develop your own ideas about time. I'm not requiring these at this point. I will require them in future assignments, but for this week, it's all up to you. It's your life, live it your way. So the requirements are that you will answer the following questions on the doc in Classroom. There's a doc created for you. It has these questions, you will answer it, and that's also where you're going to submit your designs before you turn it in. So time can be associated with many different feelings. It can be pressing, running short, you can spend it, you can waste it, you can fly by, it can creep along. What aspect of time are you trying to create or trying to convey through your design? Question B, what specific concrete details did you incorporate to convey the aspect or feeling from question A? E.g. color, line, form, etc. So if you used if you were like, oh, time is so like oppressing and I hate it and it's just maybe you use like dark colors and heavy form and it feels just weighty and just massive and it's crushing me because there's no time to do anything. Oh. Or maybe you're like, oh, time is carefree and it kind of flies by and it's joyous. So you have lighter things and brighter colors to convey that feeling. Those are the concrete aspects to which I am referring. So you will sketch out your designs to show both the form and the decoration in isometric and orthographic sketches. We did this in week 2, so you should know how to do it. We're going to continue to develop it, but this is your chance to now draw something and create something that you want, that you feel, that you want to express. Your piece should be designed to fit the clock movement, which is the mechanism that makes the clock tick, shown below. This thing is the movement. We can actually order these from dickblick.com, which is where we get our art supplies. So it is possible that we could order these and you could create this piece later on. We're designing these pieces right now. You will not make all the pieces that we design in this class, but hopefully you will select the ones that you are most interested in and then maybe create some of those. So there are some examples of different clocks on this document. You can see that this one right here has a human figure, very muscular human figure, seemingly like pushing the whole weight of his body against this clock that's in this form that's kind of like a gear. So what does that say about like the industry, the mechanisms, the clock works? What does that say about time? What does it show about time? And art, as we may or may not know, what we do now because I'm telling you, is interpretive. It depends on who you are as a viewer and what your state is that you bring something else to it. What does this one say? If this clock face is down and it seems that there's this tree form or tree shape of these lines that seem like a tree and there are leaves on it, or maybe these things act like leaves, but there are no leaves over here, but they're here, and maybe they're there, and it's at the bottom, and we know that roots are at the bottom of the tree. So did the person who did this say, are they saying like time is at the root of all things? Maybe, I don't know. Or this one, it's very ornate, it's very decorative. These forms kind of harken back to Grecian statues, Greek or Roman statues. There's a lot of drapery, a lot of ornate detail, and there's a little clock face right in here. This kind of reminds me of the Ark of the Covenant from Indiana Jones, where there was a sacred thing, and it was held in this ark, and they carried it with reverence. So what does that say about time? Is time something that should be revered? How do you interpret it? We scroll down, we have this one over here where instead of numbers, which we may be used to seeing in the West, there are figures. What do they mean? Is that symbolic? I don't know. How would you incorporate it? I've seen a clock where it has like different stages of like what a person wanted to do during the day. This one is a dirigible, aka hot air balloon. A dirigible with a clock at the top. So is this saying like time flies? I don't know, but maybe it's also fun because you also like dirigibles as reference in the Decemberists music. This one is another option of a clock. Maybe this also doubles as a wall planter. Maybe that's like a literal thing of like the roots. It's up to you to figure out what you want to say. There are a couple quotes here. Time is defined to make motion look simple. That I got directly from this man right here in this video. This is astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. Really smart man, really interesting. He also has joy and he laughs a lot. He's quite fun. You should know about him. Great. Time and space are modes by which we think, and not conditions in which we live. That's Albert Einstein. He had his theory of relativity, and he had this whole thing on time. Charlie Chaplin, who is a silent film comedian who did like slapstick comedy and like tumbling and all that. I got really into him in senior year of high school. He's quite good. I recommend looking up the film. It's silent film, but there's music, and it's I thought it was fun. He said, time is my only enemy. That maybe he had so much to do that he felt that he was running out of time and he wouldn't allow him to do all the things he wanted. So that was his enemy. There's also Stephen Hawking, a brilliant, brilliant man who wrote A Brief History of Time. Maybe you read it, maybe you haven't, maybe you will read it. So these are all things that you could look into. There are resources here. There's the Neil deGrasse Tyson video here. There's a TED. There's the birds. Turn, turn, turn. You may have heard that one. Do everything. There's a to every season. There's time to do this, time to do that, time to do the other. So that's a performance from them. This is a Wikipedia page from this guy. There's some other things. Another TED talk on YouTube. John Harrison is an English, inventor. He invented the clock that could tell time at sea, which really helped people navigate the ocean. At that point in history, at that point in history, there were pendulum clocks, and the pendulum was a way to keep track of time. But on a ship, when the ship moves back and forth and the pendulum was moving back and forth, the motion of the ship threw off the pendulum and it was unreliable. So he invented the sea clock, or the ship's clock. And they wrote a book about, or like a series of books. There's a video kind of commemorating him called Longitude, which allowed you to figure out where you were on the Earth in terms of longitude. Latitude was easy, you could do stars, but longitude, stars were all the same because it's at the same latitude. So like how far away from England are we? What time is it? Well, should we make it noon? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, make it noon. That's fine. Kind of arbitrary at that point. And there's a YouTube playlist of the same resources. So this is the YouTube playlist. If you look at it, there's Neil. There's a little TED thing about Einstein, more Einstein. There's this guy who does a TED talk about your brain and illusion and backfilling time. So like, can you change anything that passed? Like your brain does it a little bit. And it's just, wow, that's interesting. And how do we psychologically relate to time if we only have 10 minutes for a task? What if they what if they only give us 5, or what if they give us 20? How does that change how we feel about it? So there are these videos, and then there's this guy who talks about time as this mystery, and he's a philosopher, so he talks about philosophically. So you can watch these. It's all good. This is the document that you will have to fill. You will answer your questions right on this document. Each of you have a copy. So you'll type your answer right there. You'll type your answer to this one right there. And then you'll insert the design here. You can highlight this. You should highlight the words and delete it and insert it. Make it fill the whole box. Make it show off. This is the rubric. You're being assessed on design. You are also going to be assessed on a performance indicator, creativity. This one's going to happen many times throughout the semester. You do not need to worry about it at this moment, but if you meet it now, great. If you don't, that's fine. There are other chances, no worries. This is an example that I drew if I designed a clock. So I even answered the question, what aspect of time are you trying to convey? This is my answer. I hand wrote it in my sketchbook. That's fine if you want to do that. So long as I can read it, that's okay. I have the top view, the front view, the side view, and the isometric view. So you can also see these lines that I have, and these lines I drew with a straight edge so that the width of the drawing would be the same, and it would be proportional to the other drawing. So you can see that the side here is the same as the side there. The clock face is also connected to the same thing, and the height is the same here. So by looking at these 3 drawings, you can get a sense, or these 3, you can get a sense of what the form is. I haven't created this, but you can imagine it if it were created. I did add shading. I did add some of that to it, so that helps. Again, this is not a drawing class. You're not being assessed on craftsmanship. You're being assessed on the design of it. And the words, how you answer the questions, helps me understand that design. So this one, I was thinking about time being the destroyer of all things. Like everything crumbles with time. And maybe this connects to like the theory of entropy and how it's all just going to chaos and the ultimate heat death of the universe. Whoa, heavy. maybe that's too early for a Wednesday. Anyway, it's also, for some reason, the doc typed it, which is great. But I was influenced by the Grinch, like these long Grinch-like fingers, the Grinch Who Stole Christmas, and just like, as well as the creature from Pan's Labyrinth, who was like really off-putting, really uncomfortable, moved very slowly, but the one that had the eyeballs, if you've seen that movie, the eyeballs on the plate and picks them up, and he's like this, and the eyes are in the palms of his hands, and he walks around. Moved slowly. Really disturbing, really uncomfortable, really creepy. I'm not going to show you a photo of it. But those are the influences, as well as a riddle from The Hobbit, which I shared in a separate video. You're welcome. I had fun doing that. That was great. So I also have some featured work from other students. So I have their designs, what they drew, as well as their responses, and my response to their responses. So there are 3 different ones. So this piece is about timelessness, and you can read the student's answer there. And I can also, and then you can read my response, which is in pink. Same thing here. Boom, their response, my response as well. And you can see 3 different possibilities, or 3 different designs of clocks. So that's all. That should be all the information you need. You should be able to access all of this at this point. Whether you think that time moves really fast and that's a lot of fun and like all that, or that it goes slowly and is boring. And sometimes like time glitches a little bit, and even sometimes stops altogether. Whatever you want to say about time, that's up to you. It's your work. You make it. It's your expression from inside. That's what matters. That's what counts. Start with what you want to say. All right.